Welcome back to this episode of Beyond the Scoreboard. As always, I'm your boy Caleb Rosario. Not joined by my co-host yet. He will be in at some point in the show. Like I said in the last stream, he is traveling. Brendan is traveling. He's playing ball, doing his thing out in Florida right now. But he should be joining the show later on. But yeah, man, before I start the show, man, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Push the channel out, man. This week we've had so much engagement on the channel. It was awesome to see, but definitely, would love that a lot more. You know what I mean? Comment on the videos, whatever you guys think. I don't even care. I don't care if you guys disagree with me or whatever the case is. Just comment, subscribe, like, make sure we keep it all positive in the chat too. I'm not up for toxicity in the chat, but definitely some friendly debates I'm cool with. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, and yeah, definitely push this channel out, share it with whoever you guys can, man. We're definitely just trying to grow this thing and make it into something, something big, something you guys can enjoy. Yeah, man, I'm gonna get right into it. There's a lot that I want to talk about. There's a lot that I want to cover. And I know Brendan, when he comes on, he's gonna be joining the conversation. But me being an Eagles fan, obviously you guys should know by now that I'm an Eagles fan, and I want to talk about what the state of the Eagles right now. Through 10 weeks of the season, you pretty much know kind of what your team is and what your team's going to be throughout the course of the season. And yeah, there are times where it's going to be inconsistency throughout the course of an 18-week season going into the playoffs. And that's not something that I'm opposed to. That's not something that I don't understand. Yeah, obviously that's a thing that happens. You know what I mean? But it's I'm not upset, and I'm gonna get right to it, man. I'm not upset that the Eagles won 10-7 yesterday. It's not the fact, like, it was a great defensive game. Both defenses came out ready to play. What's up, Juan? I see you in the chat, man. Um, both defenses came ready to play yesterday. They were outstanding, top to bottom, start to finish. Both defenses. It was 0-0 at the half. Um, my problem was not with the defense. I mean, it was not with the defense. Was not with the fact that it was a 10-7 game. It was the fact that I don't believe it needed to be a 10-7 football game. I don't believe that it was that type of game that the Eagles just were trying to push ball down the field. We're trying, and just the Packers, they, credit to them, they played great defense, but we played so conservative. And before I get to the negative part of it, which I have a lot to speak about on that, I'm going to get to the positive side. The defense was fantastic. Jalen Phillips, credit to Howie Roseman. He deserves a statue in front of the stadium. Jalen Phillips, that trade was the best thing he could have done. That was the Jay Ajayi move, I believe, of this year. When they got Jay Ajayi from the Miami Dolphins in that Super Bowl run in 2017, to now you get Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins, and pretty much fix what I thought was the biggest issue for the team, which on defense, which was the pass rush. They were getting pressure on every single snap to the point where Jordan Love was flustered in the pocket. He didn't know where to go with the football. There were so many opportunities to take on the back end where guys were getting open in the back end, but the fact that the pressure was so much for Jordan Love, he was just flustered. His timing was off. He was sped up in his reads. You could tell he was scared in the pocket to even let the football go. You could tell that they could have took some shots down the field and they didn't because he didn't let the football go. And that's all credit to the defensive line. Nakobe Dean played out of his mind yesterday. Jalen Phillips was insane, and Quinyon Mitchell. Those were the three best defensive performances I've seen all year long. From individual players defensively. And I got to credit them, man. And if this is the version of the defense we're going to get for the rest of the season, this team has a great chance of going back to the Super Bowl. Now, another positive, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, And I'm gonna get to the AJ Brown situation later, but I just want to talk about Devontae Smith right now. Devontae Smith has been the most consistent, the most reliable player on offense this year. He is just ready, man. You never hear him say a word. You never hear him complain. I don't care. He doesn't care if he gets 10 targets. He doesn't care if he gets 2 targets. He's going to do his job. And when his number's called upon, he's going to make the plays. And you saw it yesterday. Every single time the ball was thrown his way, it was just like he was either open or he just came down with the football. Like he always had a chance to make a play. Now, I can't say enough about Devontae Smith. And I love the guy. I hope he's an Eagle for life. That's what you want in a receiver. He's a receiver one on most teams. There may be 2 or 3 other teams that he's not the number one receiver, maybe Cincinnati or Minnesota. But other than that, anywhere else he goes, I think he's the best receiver on the team. Anywhere else. And, maybe Seattle with Jackson Smith and Jigma being how he's been this year. But it's only a couple of teams, I don't even really think a handful of teams that he'll go to and be the number one guy. The fact that he's playing with AJ Brown, I don't want to say limits him, but obviously you don't see consistently the numbers that he could put up. And you've seen it in the games that AJ Brown misses that he's not playing. You can count on Devontae Smith getting 80 to 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. You can pretty much just pencil that in. So I love Devontae Smith, man. He showed up. He showed up yesterday, especially with that deep ball touchdown that we needed. And I think he just, he made all the plays necessary to win that game as well. Now, what brings me to the negative side, and there's a lot to talk about, but I'm just going to talk about what I think is the biggest issue and what I think if the reason the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, it has nothing to do. I'm not going to blame one player on this team. I'm not going to blame one player on this team as to be the reason why the Eagles don't go back and win the Super Bowl, or at least go back to the Super Bowl. Because right now the NFC is theirs to lose. They're the number one seed in the NFC right now. Seattle's right on their heels, but I think they are the better team. So I'm not going to blame one player at all. Yesterday was a perfect example of coaching malpractice. Absolute coaching malpractice. That was one of the worst coached offensive games that I've seen. And I saw the game against the Giants. I saw games in 2023. That was the most worst coached game I've seen up until all the way from start to finish. And Jason Avant said a perfect thing on WIP this morning is that over the last 3 or 4 games, the first 15 plays, which are called the first 15, they're the scripted plays that you have going into the game. Like, these are the first 15 plays we're going to run going into the game, kind of get a feel what the defense is going to give us. They have moved the ball all the way down the field. Yesterday, they moved the ball all the way down the field until I think the 15-yard line, Green Bay's 15, and Jalen got the ball punched out. He fumbled. But that was the second drive. Into the second drive, they moved the ball a couple times. So right after that, though, the offense was stale for 6 or 7 drives. You look back to the Minnesota game. Everyone wants to talk about how well coached and how offensively genius that Minnesota game was by Kevin Patullo. Outside of the first drive that they threw the touchdown to that deep touchdown to AJ Brown, they did nothing for 7 drives. Like, up until midway through the third quarter, when Jalen Hurts threw that bomb to Devontae Smith, the offense was stale yet again. And Jalen Hurts still threw for 300-plus yards in that game. So my question is, what's the reason why you go into a game, and Jamie's saying I blame Jalen. I'm going to try to show these. I'm going to put the comments so you guys can see him as well. But, Jamie, we already know how that's going to go with Jamie. I don't understand. I don't understand the logic behind you go into a game, 15 plays where you're moving the ball, you're in different formations, you're under center, you're in the shotgun, you're moving guys around up and down, and I don't get it. I just don't understand what the reason is that you cannot keep that consistently going from start to finish and put 2 halves together of good football. They have yet to put 2 full halves together, and they're 7-2. They're 7-2. So I think, and I truly believe as an Eagles fan, that the reason why this team is 7-2 has nothing to do with the coaching and everything to do with the talent you have on the field. But up until a certain point, that's going to work. At some point, that is going to come back to bite you. I'm not going to say it's going to be this week against the Lions. It's going to come back to bite you in the worst possible way in a playoff game where maybe your defense isn't playing as good. You can't expect the defense to go out there and do what they did yesterday. I'm expecting them to play well the rest of the season, but you can't go out there and expect them to shut the team out for 3 quarters, especially teams you're going to play in the playoffs. You're not going to shut out Seattle for 3 quarters. You're not going to shut out Detroit for 3 quarters. You may not even shut out this Green Bay team again for 3 quarters. So the offense needs to be more consistent. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you take a look, and Troy Aikman was pointed out on the broadcast yesterday, and there's been so many guys pointing it out, these ESPN analysts or whatever, so many guys have been saying the offensive concepts, I'm calling the plays out while looking on my TV. And I've never taken a snap in the NFL. I've never been in an NFL locker room. I never played football at an organized level. I've watched every single snap that an Eagles player has taken over the last 10 years. I've watched every single snap over the last 10 years that the Eagles have had. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out there calling plays. But if I can look at my TV and call out what's going to happen, if I can look at my TV and tell my dad sitting next to me, yo, they're running the football right here. And what do you think an NFL team that's preparing every single week to play you is gonna do? The same exact thing. It makes no sense. And I agree. Juan said the defense saved the game for sure. The defense is the only reason that we were even in this game to begin with. At all. Any other time, say the defense gives up 17 points, which is a great defensive effort. If you're giving up 17, we lose the game because we only scored 10. The concepts that these guys run are so predictable. How is it on 3rd and short, it's going to be man coverage? On 3rd and short, it's going to be man coverage. Why are you running 4 hitch routes where a guy is just taking 3 steps and standing there, not stressing the defense? Like, our concepts don't stress the defense in any way at all. There's no sort of flow to the offense. The motions aren't even motions that do anything. They don't stress the defense. The defense knows where we're going to run. Our run designs, our run designs, they waste a down every single drive on first down. They waste a down by getting in shotgun and handing the ball to Saquon Barkley right up the middle behind our backup center, mind you, because Cam Jurgen hasn't played in 2 or 3 games. He's been nicked up with injury. And then Landon Dickerson's been in and out. The offensive, and that's one thing I'm going to get to. The offensive line has been mediocre at best this year. Like, people love to say, yeah, Jeff Stoutland University, our offensive line coach, who I think is the best in the business. We have 2 Hall of Fame tackles on either side, but we're not running behind them. We're going to run behind Brett Toth, who I'm not trying to disrespect him, but he is a backup for a reason. He's not Cam Jurgens. He is not Cam Jurgens. Landon Dickerson's in and out of injury, but you're not running and pulling the most athletic offensive line in football, pulling these guys on the outside, creating these runs on the outside, making gaps for Saquon Barkley. There was a stat that came out not too long ago. I actually saw it on a broadcast. I think it might have been during the Vikings game or whatever it was, but out of all the runs, I think Saquon Barkley had maybe 1,300 yards last year. Out of his 2,000, 1,300 of them were on outside zone runs. 1,300, meaning pulling the guard, pulling Cam Jurgens, pulling Lane Johnson out to the outside, meaning you're going to be having Lane Johnson, all those big boys, and Mekhi Becton and Tyler Steen blocking cornerbacks and safeties who don't want to be blocked by an offensive lineman. But instead, you got 5 against 5 on the defensive line, and you're running directly up the middle. behind your backup center. It makes zero sense. And then it's first down every time. It's so predictable. I'm calling it out. It's insane to think about that a guy who's never taken a snap in the NFL can see that from his couch. But NFL coaches, that your job is to prepare for this every single week. And like I said, credit the Packers defense. They played outstanding yesterday, but the Eagles did not help their cause. They played right into the strengths of the Packers. They don't give up. The Packers don't give up deep balls. They don't. They do not give up deep passes. Their philosophy is you're going to take everything underneath. We'll give you the underneath stuff. So what do? Oh, let's go run deep concepts and run guys on go balls. And let's see if Jalen Hurts can throw a ball up there and these guys can bail you out. I mean, it's insane. And I'm going to get to these comments here. I think it's calling the offensive play again. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Nick Sirianni. And that's a good question. I do believe Nick Sirianni has his hands on the offense a lot more than people want to believe. Because when you look at it, 2021, when he was the offensive play caller, the offense looked a lot similar to this before he gave up play calling duties to Shane Steichen in the middle of 2021, which we went on a run and won 5 out of 6 games and made the playoffs. Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter. 2022, Shane Steichen is the offensive play caller the entire season. We get to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has one of the best performances in any Super Bowl, and we fall short to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2023, Shane Steichen gets hired by the Indianapolis Colts. So what do? They hire Brian Johnson, who had some relationships with Jalen Hurts as a kid, but he knew him, but whatever. One of his quarterbacks coach that was in the system for a little bit. They promote him. The offense looks extremely similar to what it does right now, outside of the bubble screens that went nowhere. But the offense was what it looked like now, the scheme-wise. And we also had the 31st ranked defense that year in the NFL and finished 11-6. 2024, Kellen Moore, an experienced play caller with a different scheme, we win the Super Bowl. Now 2025, you promote a guy who was the passing game coordinator last year. Hard to believe that. If this is his scheme, hard to believe he was a pass game coordinator last year. And it looks like this again. I think what it truly is, Nick Sirianni does not trust these first-time play callers, so he gives them his scheme to work with and go out there and call the plays based off of Nick Sirianni's scheme, not Kevin Patullo. Now, I'm not saying Kevin Patullo also doesn't have a hand in this, but I've seen too much consistency with how the offense looks now, how it's looked in the past on the years that we have not been good offensively. It looks the same. They gave that play to Tank, and he went for 31 yards on 2nd and on 30. I agree. And it was an outside zone run. Yeah, it was 2nd and 30, so you're probably not going to pass the ball anyway. But the defense knew that. The Giants' defense knew that, and he still went for 31 yards. So, yeah, it works. Which brings me to my next point, right? 2 times on 3rd and long, twice on 3rd and long, they put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands to throw the ball on 3rd and long, converted both of those on 3rd and long. A 3rd and 12 to Devontae Smith at the end of the game. I think it was like a 3rd and 8 at some point, 3rd and 9 too. That was another one that he converted. Every other 3rd and long, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and you hand the ball off to Will Shipley, your 3rd string running back. You hand it off to Will Shipley. That is absolute loser coaching mentality. Loser. That is a loser coaching mentality. That is conservative ball. And again, yes, the Packers defense is good, but you're basically just giving in that they are good and you're not better than them. That's what you're saying. Our offense isn't better than their defense, so let me play it safe because our defense has been playing well. So let me hand it off to our third string running back and punt the ball. Towards the end of the half, you get the ball with 30 seconds left after a terrible turnover by Jordan Love. Overrated, by the way. We're going to get to that at some point today. Overrated. You get a terrible turnover with 30 seconds left and 3 timeouts. And what do? Nothing with the with the football. It's horrendous, man. It's absolutely horrendous. Like that was coaching malpractice yesterday. And then to get to the play that everybody's talking about that had me pulling my hair yesterday watching this. It's 4th and 8 at the end of the game with 30 seconds left. And you're at the Green Bay 36-yard line. You go for it instead of knowing your defense has played well all game long. Instead of punting the football and making them drive the length of the field to get a field goal, instead, you go for it on 4th and 8 and throw a low percentage completion pass in the NFL, a go route in double coverage. And when you look at the other routes, there's nothing going on. Now, people want to say that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown yesterday went rogue on that. They went rogue. Meaning Kevin Patullo or Nick Sirianni might have called something else, or maybe they were trying to get these guys to jump off sides and get a shorter 4th down, maybe, and they were just thinking about punting the ball. And Jalen Hurts changed the play with A.J. Brown and said, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that Nick Sirianni wanted to show that he had some stones, and let's test it. Because if you look back to Cleveland Browns game last year, coming off of the bye week again, in that bye week, week 6 was that game against the Cleveland Browns last year. They weren't scoring that well. They came off the bye week slow that last year as well. If you guys don't remember that. And what they did, it was 22-16. The Cleveland Browns would have had a chance to win the game had A.J. Brown not caught that deep ball by Jalen Hurts with a minute and a half left in that game. It worked then. It worked. It's worked multiple times. It worked against the Minnesota Vikings as well. It worked against the Minnesota Vikings where they put a double move against Isaiah Rodgers and threw a deep ball to ice the game. It's worked multiple times. But against a defense like this, who has not really given you many shots down the field all night long outside of one to Devontae Smith that ended up being a touchdown, you throw it on 4th and 8. And it's like A.J. Brown just put his arm back up there. I'm not saying it was a low effort thing. I'm just saying it wasn't really a catchable ball that wasn't like in the bucket. And it was in double coverage. So a low percentage play in a situation where every analytic is going to tell you to punt the ball, and you don't. And very lucky that they didn't make the plays necessary to win the game, and then they get close enough to be able to put Brian McManus in a more favorable situation to kick a field goal. And I'm not one to devalue wins. I'm a win is a win type of guy. I am. But it's frustrating when you have a Lamborghini at your disposal and you're driving it like a Prius. Any offensive coordinator will be licking their chops being able to run this offense. At least you should. You have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL right now playing like the second best tight end in the NFL outside of Tyler Warren and Dallas Goedert. He has the most touchdowns of any tight end in the league. You have a top 5 running back. You have what should be one of the best O-lines in football. They haven't been playing like it, but I think that they'll be fine. And then you have right now a a really good defense. And you keep having to put the defense out there time and time again, and 3 and out and 3 and out. And like, you can't expect the defense to hold for that long. It's insane, man. It's insane. Sirianni scheme, just give me the 4th and 1. Like, I don't disagree with you there. Like, maybe it is that. It's be conservative and try to run the ball close enough to where you could do a tush push. What? That's loser football. Loser football. Use the tush push when you absolutely need it. You're at the goal line, that you know it's an automatic touchdown, but you're lining up on 3rd and 2 trying to do tush pushes. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, for whatever reason, the guys love to play for Nick Sirianni. You can, not, I don't know about love, but you can see that they play for him, because if they didn't like to play for him, if they didn't trust Nick Sirianni, I don't think we win a Super Bowl. I don't think that he holds the locker room together as well as he has this year, to the point where we're 7-2.